Let me ask you something. Have you ever found yourself waiting for the perfect moment to start something new, waiting for the right job, the right partner, the right mindset, or just waiting for life to line up before you finally take that leap? Yeah, we've all done it, but here's the hard truth. Waiting is just a quieter form of giving up. It doesn't scream, it doesn't make a scene, but slowly, silently, it pulls us away from the person we were meant to become. And the longer we wait, the more distant that version of us becomes. We tell ourselves stories like, "I'll start when I'm ready. I need better circumstances. I need more time." But here's the truth no one wants to admit. You don't need better circumstances. You need a stronger mindset. You don't need more time. You need more intention. This isn't just another motivational speech. I'm not here to pump you up with hype that wears off in an hour. What we're talking about today is much deeper. It's about rebuilding your life from the inside out, using the timeless principles of Stoic philosophy. And don't worry, this isn't some ancient theory locked in dusty books. It's a practical, powerful toolkit for living, for building resilience, clarity, and discipline in a world that constantly pulls us off course. Because real transformation, it never starts with your job, your bank account, or your relationships. It starts with the only thing you truly control, yourself. It's easy to believe that if only we could fix what's around us, we'd feel better inside. But the Stoics saw it the other way around: fix what's within, and the world outside changes. It starts with a choice, a quiet, personal, uncomfortable choice, to stop waiting, to stop blaming, to stop hoping for something to save you, and instead, to start showing up for yourself. So if you've been feeling stuck, overwhelmed, like you're capable of more but just can't seem to move forward, then maybe this is your wake-up call. Not the loud kind that shakes the world, but the kind that whispers, "It's time." Because the journey to your best self doesn't begin with applause or a breakthrough. It begins in silence, with ownership, with honest reflection, with small, consistent acts of courage. And the good news, you don't need permission, you don't need perfect conditions. You just need to start right where you are. So ask yourself, when was the last time you worked on you? Not your career, not your resume, not your relationship status. I mean you, the person behind all of that. We spend so much of our lives fixing everything around us, the deadlines, the chaos, the broken conversations, while completely ignoring the one thing that holds it all together: ourselves. Here's the truth. You are not a short-term task to complete. You are a lifelong masterpiece under construction. Your mind, your habits, your beliefs, they are the foundation for everything else. And if that foundation is cracked, even just a little, then no matter how perfect things look on the outside, it will all eventually collapse. Your career might shine, but you'll still feel hollow. Your relationships might look healthy on Instagram, but behind the scenes, you're constantly anxious or disconnected. Sound familiar? Even Marcus Aurelius, Roman emperor, commander of armies, understood this. When he wrote Meditations, he wasn't writing to impress anyone. He wasn't trying to publish a bestseller. He was simply trying to keep his own mind strong. It was his tool, a daily reminder to stay grounded, focused, and intentional. Because self-mastery, he knew, is the hardest and most important battle you'll ever fight. And here's what no one claps for. No one celebrates the mornings you wake up and choose to stay disciplined. No one sees the little internal victories, when you choose to stay calm instead of lashing out, when you resist the easy lie, when you keep a promise to yourself in total silence. Those quiet moments, they don't go viral. They don't win awards, but they build a life of depth. Brick by brick, layer by layer, they shape the kind of person you become when no one is watching. We all fall into the trap of thinking change comes from the outside. A new city, a new job, a new relationship. But if you don't change, those new surroundings will just become a new backdrop for the same old patterns. You don't evolve, you just escape. So here's the real question. What are you building? Not just in your career, not for your social media feed. What are you building in your mind, in your character, in your ability to stay steady when life gets hard? Because life will get hard, that's guaranteed. But the person you become in the storm, that is who you really are. The Stoics didn't aim for perfect lives. They aimed for prepared minds, minds ready to adapt, to endure, to grow no matter the challenge. So stop waiting to be ready. You don't need to be fixed. You need to start building yourself today. You are not passive clay waiting to be shaped by life. You are the sculptor. And every thought, every choice, every challenge is a chance to define your masterpiece. Let me be honest with you. One of the hardest pills to swallow in life is this: no one is coming to save you. And I get it. Somewhere deep inside, most of us carry a quiet hope that something will happen, that someone will show up, a mentor, a miracle, a turning point, and finally, everything will make sense. Maybe it's the perfect job. Maybe it's a life partner. Maybe it's a moment of clarity that just sweeps away all the doubt and fear. But the longer we hold onto that hope, the more we stay stuck, because that hope, it becomes a trap. It gives us an excuse to wait instead of move, to dream instead of act. And slowly, without even realizing it, we surrender our power to circumstance. We trade responsibility for hope, and it makes us weaker. But here's the flip side, and it's powerful. The moment you accept that no one is coming to save you is the moment you take back control. You stop waiting for permission. You stop looking for someone to hand you the answers. You stop pointing fingers at your past, your parents, your boss, your bank account, and you start building, brick by brick, step by step, exactly where you are. That shift from external rescue to internal responsibility, it's not just a mindset. It's a transformation. And it's not about doing everything alone. Yes, people can support you. Yes, they can walk beside you. But they can't walk for you. They can't make you care. They can't pull you out of bed or force you to stay consistent when no one's watching. That part is on you, always has been. And sure, it might feel heavy at first. It might feel like pressure, but give it a moment, and you'll realize it's freedom. Because when no one is coming to save you, you don't have to wait anymore. You don't need a green light. You are the green light. Marcus Aurelius said, "Don't waste time waiting for a good life, build it." That's not a quote for your vision board. That's a command. Because time doesn't pause while you make up your mind. And no matter how much people love you, they can't live your life for you. So here's the question. What are you waiting for? The rescue isn't coming. But you are more than capable of rescuing yourself. And when you step into that reality, when you own your choices, your habits, your direction, you stop living a life of reaction and start building a life of creation. That's where the power is. Right here, right now, with you. Here, as something you've probably never heard in school, but it might be one of the most important truths in life. Discipline is freedom. Now, I know that sounds backward. We're taught that freedom means doing whatever we want, whenever we want. Stay up late, sleep in, skip the workout, eat what feels good. Just live your truth, right? But let me ask you something. When you live like that, impulsively, with no structure, do you actually feel free? Or do you feel scattered, behind, frustrated with yourself? Because here's the paradox most people miss. Real freedom isn't the absence of structure, it's being in control of yourself. And that control, it comes from discipline, not punishment, not shame, but respect. Discipline is how you show yourself, hey, I matter enough to do what's right for me, even when it's hard. Every time you choose to follow through, when no one's watching, you send a signal to your brain. I can trust myself. And that trust, that's where confidence begins. Think about it, waking up when you said you would even if you're tired. Hitting the gym even when it's cold. Finishing that project even when Netflix is calling your name. These aren't just good habits, they're building blocks. They shape a version of you that's grounded, dependable, and strong from the inside out. And here's the beautiful part. You don't need motivation, you just need a system. Because motivation comes and goes, it's fleeting like weather. But systems, they keep you moving, rain or shine. This is what the Stoics understood so well. They didn't build their lives on feelings. They built on principles, on routines, on clarity. They knew that freedom doesn't come from indulging every desire, it comes from rising above them. Let me give you a quick example. Have you ever met someone who just seems unshakable? They're calm under pressure. They don't overreact. They show up every day no matter what's going on. That's not luck. That's not talent. That's discipline practiced over time. And yes, it's hard at first. You'll miss comfort. You'll want to quit. But slowly, something amazing happens. What used to feel like restriction starts to feel like liberation. You no longer depend on the mood of the day. You don't need a pep talk. You don't crumble at every setback. You just show up, because it's who you are now. So let me leave you with a question. Do you want relief or do you want freedom? Because they're not the same. Relief is temporary, freedom is earned, and the path to it always runs through discipline. Let me guess, you've been there before. You decide, this time I'm going to change everything. You buy a new planner, wake up at 5 a.m., hit the gym, cut sugar, start journaling, read 5 books, meditate for an hour. And by day 3, you're exhausted, frustrated, and right back where you started. Sound familiar? Here's why that happens. Most people overestimate what they can do in a week and totally underestimate what they could do in a year. We think change needs to be intense, dramatic, Instagram-worthy, but real lasting change, it's boring, it's slow, and it's beautifully consistent. The Stoics knew this better than anyone. Zeno, one of the founders of Stoicism, said, "Well-being is realized by small steps, but it is no small thing." Think about that, small steps, not giant leaps, not overnight transformations, because here's the truth. Consistency beats perfection every single time. You don't need to flip your life upside down. You just need to do one thing, one small act, and repeat it. Then repeat it again and again until it becomes who you are. That's how identity is built, not through grand moments but through quiet decisions. Let me give you an example. Imagine someone decides to start walking for 10 minutes a day, just 10 minutes. Rain or shine, no excuses. It doesn't sound impressive. It won't go viral. But 6 months later, their energy's better. Their mindset is sharper. Their habits have evolved. And all because they stayed in motion, not with intensity, but with intention. That's the Stoic path. It's not about chasing the perfect streak. It's about building a rhythm that survives real life. The bad days, the busy weeks, the low motivation. It's not about never missing a day. It's about not missing 2. It's showing up at 40% because showing up at 40% still counts. It still says, I'm the kind of person who does the work even when it's hard. So if you've been stuck in the all-or-nothing trap, let this be your reminder. Start small, but stay consistent. Don't wait for the perfect plan, just pick one thing, one habit, one promise to yourself, and keep it. Over time, that one habit becomes your anchor. Then you add another, and another. And without even realizing it, you've built a lifestyle rooted in discipline, not pressure. Because success doesn't come from doing everything. It comes from doing something every day. Let me tell you something that might change the way you move through life. Perfection is a trap. It looks noble. It sounds ambitious. But in reality, it's a mirage always just out of reach. And worst of all, it doesn't drive action. It paralyses it. How many times have you waited to start something because you weren't sure it would turn out perfectly? How many ideas stayed locked inside you because you were afraid to mess it up? If that hits close to home, you're not alone. This mindset is everywhere. But here's what the Stoics and many of the wisest minds in history understood. Progress is always more powerful than perfection. Seneca once wrote, "While we teach, we learn." In other words, even the wise are still students. Even those ahead of you are still growing, still evolving, still figuring it out. You don't need to be flawless. You just need to move forward, because progress is messy. It includes failure. It includes doubts. It includes days where you feel like nothing is working, but you show up anyway. That's the difference between those who grow and those who stay stuck. Not talent, not intelligence, but willingness, the willingness to keep going, especially when things aren't perfect. Now, I want to speak to the part of you that holds yourself to impossible standards. You know the voice, the one that says, "If I can't do it perfectly, I shouldn't do it at all. If I make a mistake, it means I'm not good enough." That voice is not truth, it's fear. And fear, dressed as high standards, is still fear. So what do we do instead? We aim to improve even by 1%. We measure ourselves not by perfection, but by progress. Did I respond with more patience today than yesterday? Did I keep going when I wanted to quit? Did I learn something even if it didn't look good? That's what matters. That's where strength builds. And here's another trap: comparison. Looking at someone else's highlight reel and thinking you're behind. But you're not behind. You're on your path with your lessons and your timeline. Progress isn't loud. It doesn't always feel satisfying in the moment. But over time, it builds something far more valuable than the illusion of perfection. It builds character. So today, ask yourself this: where can I make progress just a little without worrying if it's perfect? Because one imperfect step forward is always more powerful than standing still in fear. Let's talk about something that's quietly draining your energy. And most people don't even realize it's happening. We live in a world obsessed with outcomes, followers, dollars, promotions, numbers. And if we don't see immediate results, we start to think we're failing, that all our effort means nothing. Sound familiar? But what if I told you that your real power, your real growth, has nothing to do with results and everything to do with effort? See, here's the trap. We try, we hustle, we show up. But when the results don't come right away, the recognition, the rewards, the transformation, we start to doubt ourselves. We wonder if it's even worth it. But the Stoics had a different view, a wiser view. Epictetus said, "Some things are up to us and some are not." And that's the line that sets you free. Because here's what is up to you: your effort, your integrity, your discipline, your attitude, your presence. And here's what's not up to you: how fast success comes, how others react, what the world gives you in return. Let that sink in. You can plant a seed and water it daily, but you can't force the tree to grow faster. You don't control the harvest, but you do control the care you give to the soil. And strangely enough, when you stop obsessing over the outcome, you'll never change. You're too late, too weak, not good enough. Sound familiar? That voice, your inner critic, is one of the most powerful enemies you'll ever face. Not because it's loud, but because it's constant. It doesn't shout. It erodes you thought by thought. But here's the truth: your inner critic isn't always telling the truth. In fact, most of the time, it's just fear in disguise. The Stoics understood this. Epictetus taught that it's not events that disturb us, but our judgment about those events. And that includes the judgments we make about ourselves. Let's say you miss a deadline. Does that make you lazy? Or did life get messy and you need to reset? You feel anxious before a big conversation. Does that make you weak? Or does it just mean you care about the outcome? The difference lies in how you frame the story. And the good news, you have the power to reframe it with reason. The Stoic doesn't blindly believe every thought. They examine it. They ask, is this true? Is this useful? Is this helping me grow? If the answer is no, they let it go. That's the skill we all need to build. The ability to respond to our thoughts instead of reacting to them. Not every emotion deserves your belief. Not every harsh thought deserves a seat at your table. And not every internal story reflects reality. Most of the time, our inner critic speaks in extremes. You always fail. You never follow through. You'll never be good enough. But reason, calm, steady, rational reason sees nuance. Okay, I messed up today, but I've bounced back before. I didn't follow through this week, but I'm still showing up now. That's not toxic positivity, that's perspective. And over time, that perspective builds something far more powerful than confidence. It builds trust. Trust that you can navigate difficulty. Trust that you can course correct. Trust that failure doesn't define you, it refines you. So here's what I want you to remember. The next time that inner critic starts whispering, don't silence it with noise. Don't drown it out with distraction. Sit with it. Listen. And then answer it not with fear but with reason. Because your thoughts don't define you. Your response to them does. Have you ever thought to yourself, if I just had a better job, I'd be happier. If I could move to a different city, things would be easier. If only my circumstances changed, I'd finally feel at peace. It's a tempting story, isn't it? But here's the thing, and I say this with love. Your external world is often just a reflection of your internal state. If your mind is cluttered, anxious, reactive, then even the calmest environment will feel chaotic. Even the kindest people will seem like threats. Even your wins will feel hollow. Because no matter where you go, your mind goes with you. This is why Stoicism doesn't start with changing your surroundings. It starts with shaping your perception. Marcus Aurelius, the Roman emperor and Stoic philosopher, wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." That's not just a quote to put on a coffee mug. That's a daily invitation to take ownership of the one thing you actually can control. But here's the catch. Training your mind is a daily practice. It's choosing where your attention goes. It's noticing when you're spiraling into negativity and pausing. It's recognizing when you're about to react and choosing to respond instead. This isn't about forcing positivity or ignoring real problems. It's about adjusting the lens you use to view them. Think about it like this. You don't fix a dirty mirror by scrubbing the reflection. You clean the glass. Your thoughts are the lens, and how you think determines what you see. So ask yourself, what thoughts do I keep feeding? What stories am I telling myself about my challenges? Am I choosing to see possibilities or problems? The truth is, many of us try to solve life by rearranging the outside, changing jobs, partners, routines, and yes, sometimes those shifts help. But if your inner narrative stays the same, you'll recreate the same patterns, just with a new background. That's why Stoicism says, start within, because the storm isn't always out there. Sometimes it's in your interpretation of the weather. So here's the challenge. Don't escape your life, reshape how you see it, not with denial, but with clarity, with awareness, with daily choices to think better, speak kinder, and move slower. Because when your mind is strong, grounded, and clear, the world outside becomes a lot easier to navigate. And in a noisy, reactive, distracted world, a calm mind, that's a real superpower. Let's be honest for a minute. We all make excuses. Some are loud and obvious. I don't have time. I'm too tired. I'm just not ready. But most, They're subtle, they hide behind logic, they sound like, "Now's not the right season. I'm just being realistic. I'll get serious after things calm down." Sounds familiar? Here's the truth. An excuse is just a delay wrapped in a story that makes you feel safe. But that safety, it comes at a cost, and the price is growth. Every time you make an excuse, even a small one, you trade a moment of discomfort for a long-term opportunity to become stronger. And the worst part, excuses get easier the more you use them. You skip the workout once, it's not a big deal. You break your promise to yourself twice, and suddenly you don't trust your own word anymore. The Stoics had zero tolerance for this kind of self-deception. Why? Because they understood something most people ignore. Excuses don't protect your potential, they poison it. And once you start negotiating with your own weakness, even just a little, it wins. Every time. But here's what makes this message powerful, not painful. You have the power to stop, right now. You don't need a dramatic life change. You don't need to wait for rock bottom. You just need to get brutally honest, not harsh, not self-loathing, just real. Instead of saying, "I can't get up early," try, "I choose not to." It sounds small, but that shift is everything. Because suddenly, you're not a victim of circumstance, you're owning your choice. And ownership, that's the birthplace of strength. So the next time your brain tries to sell you comfort disguised as logic, ask yourself, is this really true? Or am I giving myself an exit? What would happen if I showed up anyway? Because the people who grow, who evolve, are rarely the ones with perfect conditions. They're the ones who stop explaining why they can't and start doing what they must. No more someday. No more after the holidays. No more when I feel ready. You are not here to negotiate your potential. You are here to meet it with action. So here's your challenge today. Catch one excuse, just one, call it out, own the choice behind it, then make a new one, because every excuse you eliminate is one step closer to the person you were meant to become. Let me ask you something. When was the last time you studied yourself? Not your career, not your bank account, not your reputation, I mean you, your thoughts, your habits, your patterns. See, life doesn't hand us a syllabus, but every single day, every argument, every failure, every win, it's giving us lessons. If we're willing to pay attention, that's what the Stoics understood better than most. They didn't just live. They reflected every day. They asked themselves, what did I do well today? Where did I fall short? What will I do differently tomorrow? Simple questions. But when asked honestly, consistently, they transform your life. Because here's the thing. Your daily experience is the most honest classroom you'll ever step into. And the wisest thing you can do is become a student in it. Not with shame, not with self-judgment, but with curiosity. What triggers your stress? When do you give up too early? What habits lift your energy and what drains it? The more awareness you build, the more power you have to steer your life, not just react to it. And being a good student, it also means being willing to unlearn, to question beliefs you've carried for years, to ask, is this still serving me? Did I choose this, or did I just inherit it? Because growth doesn't just come from adding new things. Sometimes it comes from letting go of what no longer fits. Think about it. You wouldn't keep using a broken tool. So why keep repeating a thought or behavior that holds you back? Every moment, even the hard ones, holds insight. But only if you pause long enough to listen. So here's the challenge. Turn your life into a living curriculum. Treat your discomfort as feedback. See your setbacks as pop quizzes. And use every failure as a chapter in your learning, not the end of your story. When you do this consistently, you build something priceless. Not just knowledge, but wisdom. Not just confidence, but clarity. Because the more you learn from your own life, the less you need to be rescued and the more equipped you are to rise. So today, don't aim to be perfect. Aim to be present, observe, reflect, adjust. Because the people who grow the most aren't the ones who know all the answers. They're the ones brave enough to keep asking better questions. Let me tell you something that might surprise you. You don't need more inspiration. You don't need a perfect plan. And you definitely don't need to wait for life to calm down. What you need is to begin, right now, where you are, with what you have. Because here's the truth, change doesn't happen in one giant leap. It happens in small, quiet steps repeated daily. No one sees them. No one claps, but they stack, they shape, they transform. It's waking up early even when your bed is warm. It's choosing clarity over comfort. It's showing up for yourself, again and again and again. And the best part, you don't need permission, you don't need to feel ready. You just need to move. Forget the Hollywood version of transformation, the dramatic makeover, the magical turning point. Real growth, it's subtle, it's personal, it's earned. And it starts the moment you stop waiting and start building. Because the person who dares to shape themselves from the inside out, that person becomes unshakable. Not because life gets easier, but because they get stronger. Stronger in how they think, stronger in how they choose, stronger in how they handle what they can't control. That's the Stoic way. Not flashy, not fast, but powerful and real. So if you're still wondering when the right time is, it's now, not next month, not after the next big break, not when you feel motivated. Because the moment you choose to act with intention, you've already begun the journey. So today, take the first step, not because it's easy, but because you're worth it, because your future self is counting